next guest speaker. Dr. Anders Nygren is a professor in the Department of Biomedical Engineering and currently serves as the interim dean of the Schulich School of Engineering. He's been with the University of Calgary since 1999 and has served in a number of roles, including vice dean from 2018 to 2024. Dr. Nygren holds a master's degree from the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm, Sweden, and the University of Houston, Texas, and a PhD from Rice University in Houston, all in electrical engineering. Now, the last day and a half, we've talked about all things energy with a Y, and I think we're going to hear more about energy at the University of Calgary. So, Anders, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Duke, and good morning, still morning. Good morning, everyone, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you this morning about energy research and academic programs at the University of Calgary and at the Schulich School of Engineering. As Duke said, my name is Anders Nygren. I have the pleasure of serving as the interim dean of the school. So the Schulich School of Engineering is the engineering school at the University of Calgary, here in Calgary. So I'm going to see if I can figure this out. There we go. I thought I would start, I know some of you are obviously familiar with Schulich already, but I thought I would start for those of you that may not be with just a little bit of an overview of who we are. So here are a few key facts about us. We are a relatively large engineering school. We have about 4,400 undergraduate students right now, spread across 11 distinct undergraduate engineering majors. We also have over 2,000 graduate students in our programs, so about 6,500 students total in our faculty, and 215 faculty members across 6 different departments. These 11 undergrad majors include our oil and gas engineering program that we have just reactivated, and I'll speak to that a little bit later. So that's how we're getting to 11 now. We have 38 research chairs in our faculty, and our faculty overall put out at last count close to 1,000, 940 was the last count of publications annually, many of them well cited. About a little more than 20% of those are in the energy area. So it is one of our key areas of contributions across the faculty. Our research revenue currently sits at about $43 million annually. And maybe more important than the absolute number, what really excites me is that number has grown by about 35% over the past 5 years. So we're on a very good trajectory in terms of our research revenue. So I've been part of the Schulich School of Engineering. Well, as Duke said, I've been at the University of Calgary for about 25 years, but I've been part of the Schulich School of Engineering for the past 20, and 10 of those in various roles in the dean's office. So I've seen our school grow. 10 years ago, we were about 1,000 fewer undergraduate students than that, 1,000, 1,200 fewer, something like that. 50 or 60 faculty members fewer than that, about half the number of graduate students. So significant growth over the past decade, and it's been really fun to be part of it. And I think the most rewarding part of my job over the past few years has been to be part of the recruiting and see just the quality of the candidates that we get when we post our positions. So there's really, I feel our reputation is out there, and when we advertise positions, we tend to get really strong candidates. One of those experiences where you look at it and wonder if I were 20 years younger and trying to get a job at the University of Calgary, would I be successful today? I'm honestly not sure. So really good quality people. Energy research at Schulich. Well, we have, as I think many of you know, a long track record of contributions, global contributions to the energy sectors. In fact, the creation of CMG is a great example of past contributions of research in our chemical and petroleum engineering department specifically. And that creation of new companies is something that continues today. We have many of our faculty members engaged in launching startup companies and bringing their research to the industry through that mechanism, putting their research results into practice. Energy research at our school today involves about 70 researchers focused on a broad range of energy topics. So really support this full spectrum of the energy industry. So I mean oil and gas, and hydrogen, and geothermal, and electric, and so on, right? Our vision is, or our belief is, that energy will continue to be a mix of different resources, different technologies long into the future, and our job is to try to support the sector across that full spectrum. So that is the approach that we are taking. I wanted to talk a little bit about our current strategic plan. So this is what happens when you put engineers in charge of marketing. So our current strategic plan is called Schulich Momentum, and it spans 2023 to 2026. And what we did in this plan was identify 6 areas where we have strength and yes, momentum. And energy is one of those key areas. I'd say it's one of our bigger areas in that. So what we're doing this to operationalize this plan are a few things. We've committed $500,000 to each one of those 6 areas for seed funding and also to provide research coordinator type positions. So staff positions to bring researchers together to try to create, encourage team projects, larger groups of researchers to come together and take on those larger projects that require many different areas of expertise to solve. The other thing we've done is appointed one of our faculty members as a leader, as a director for each one of these areas. So of course we had to give them a catchy name, so we call them our momentum directors. And the momentum director for energy is Dr. Milana Trifkovic, that some of you may know. Dr. Trifkovic she's an award-winning professor in chemical and petroleum engineering. She's got a broad range of research interests that include nanoparticle stabilized emulsions and emulsion gels, polymer blends, quantum dots derived from waste materials, solid-state batteries, and many other topics related to energy. As momentum director, Milana is prioritizing new industry partnerships, coordinating interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary initiatives. I'll give you an example of one later on, and expanding our international collaborations in this area. So I've borrowed the next few slides from Dr. Trifkovic from an exercise that she did to sort of map out the landscape of what we have. And I won't go deep into detail about any individuals, but just to give you a little bit of a perspective. So again, more than 70 faculty members involved. Those 70 faculty members supervise more than 400 graduate students and postdocs in their research projects. They've created about 15 startup companies to date, these researchers that we have involved in this area. And as you can see, again, the expertise ranges from traditional hydrocarbon resources to CCUS, hydrogen, environmental remediation, and more. So key here is in all of these areas, there's a critical mass. We're not talking 1 or 2 researchers. We're talking a significant group of researchers in each one of these areas that are identified on this slide. So here's an example of researchers with expertise in hydrocarbon resources. And as you can see, this includes both of the chairs that are currently supported by Energy Simulation, Dr. John Chen and Dr. Apostolos Kantsas that we just heard from. And as you can see, also several of these researchers, there are some company logos on here, so several of these researchers are involved in commercial ventures to take their research into practice. And I can continue on here. Another area with a lot of strength and a lot of excitement around right now is hydrogen. And you can see there's expertise across the board from hydrogen generation, storage, transport, and industrial processes, utilization of hydrogen. And this is exciting because in addition to chemical and petroleum engineering researchers, this area brings in people, especially from our mechanical and manufacturing engineering department. So a big part of this and the transport part of this is our pipeline engineering center that is based in our mechanical and manufacturing engineering department. Again, several companies here bringing the research results into industry. And hydrogen is also the topic of a key initiative that Dr. Trifkovic is currently leading under this momentum area of energy in our faculty. Carbon capture, utilization, and storage, another area with a large number of researchers with activity in that area. So again, that critical mass. Energy systems engineering, an even broader area that now we're bringing in people from our electrical engineering department as well. So bringing the electrification into this. So a very multidisciplinary area, a large number of researchers engaged again. And finally, really significant expertise around materials and applications of materials for the energy industry. And again, across both chemical and petroleum engineering and across the mechanical and manufacturing engineering and the pipeline side of energy in particular. So what all of these areas have in common, again, I won't bore you with going into details about any particular researcher, what all of these areas have in common is this critical mass, that we're not talking about one or two, we're talking about significant groups with common interests that we're trying to stimulate to take on larger projects, larger initiatives, and work together as groups to bring the diverse expertise in and tackle those problems that require that range of expertise. So I mentioned hydrogen. So Dr. Trifkovic, Milana, is currently leading an initiative to create the University of Calgary Hydrogen Innovation Center, or Hydrogen Hub for short. So this is an initiative working with Alberta Innovates. It's an initiative that will bring together 20 principal investigators. And they come from the Schulich School of Engineering and also some of them from the Faculty of Science at the University of Calgary, because energy research, while I'm here to talk about the Schulich School of Engineering, energy research at the University of Calgary is really much broader than that and spans multiple faculties. It also involves more than 15 companies. And the intent here is to be the hub for all things hydrogen at our university, so spanning the entire hydrogen economy from generation and storage to transport and eventually utilization of hydrogen. And the work that will go on under this hub is organized in those 4 themes with an identified lead researcher for each one of the 4 themes. So this will be a large group initiative, overall led by Dr. Trifkovic in her capacity as the Momentum Director. So this is exactly an example of the kinds of team-based approaches that we're trying to encourage with the Schulich Momentum strategy and the seed funding and appointing the directors to lead this, to really encourage our researchers to come together and build these teams to take the research to the next level. So it's really exciting for me to see examples like this of the plan in action and creating these kinds of opportunities and actually seeing results coming out of what we put on paper a couple of years ago as a plan. I'd like to switch gears a little bit now and talk about education, academic programs in the energy area. And at a research university like the University of Calgary, and probably all of your universities, strength in research in an area is very closely tied to strength in academic programs. They're really inseparable, right? The value proposition for a student to come to one of our universities is to be taught by leading international experts in their field. That's why students come to a research university. So another way to look at this is that our ability to staff research activities in an area is closely related to the demand for education in that area. Or the other way around, to take a more positive spin on it, demand for education in an area, demand for a trained workforce in an area also creates an opportunity for us to grow our research expertise in that area. And here's where the reactivation of the oil and gas engineering program comes into the picture. So at the Global Energy Show, which was held back in June here in Calgary, we announced to the community our intent to reactivate the oil and gas engineering program. So the background there is that admission to this program was paused in 2021 due to very low demand. Like, we were struggling with a situation where literally we had low single-digit numbers of students showing up every year saying that they would like to take this program. And it just put us in a position where this was no longer viable to offer at that volume, right? And thankfully, we are now seeing more. We're hearing more interest from students. We're hearing more interest from the energy industry and the potential employers in training in this area. And that's why we've made this decision to bring this program back, and why we think that we are going to be able to grow the numbers in this program again. So the program is now available to the students that entered our engineering programs in our common first year this fall. So we are very actively marketing this program to our students, making them aware that this is, again, an option that's available to them. And we've received a lot of positive feedback from industry. So to those of you from industry, thank you so much for all the positive feedback and comments that we've received on this decision. It's really appreciated. Appreciated hearing that. So work is now underway in the Department of Chemical and Petroleum Engineering to review the curriculum and determine if there are updates that are required. The program's been paused for a few years here. It's been a while since we looked at the curriculum. To see if there's updates that may be required to make sure that we're providing the students with the most up-to-date training and the most relevant training to today's energy industry. And as with all of our programs, again, to those of you in industry in particular, we really appreciate the engagement that we've received from industry in this process. It's really important for us to have that input into all of our programs, but in particular in one like this that we're undertaking a bit of a review of. So thank you for helping us keep our programs relevant. But the reactivation also represents an opportunity for us to renew our expertise in relevant areas of energy research. Because, again, to offer a world-class engineering program, we need to have a world-class team of faculty members with the right expertise. And we certainly have a lot to build upon already among who we have available to us. But what this will create over the coming years, and as the curriculum continues to evolve, I anticipate that we'll be recruiting some outstanding young faculty to keep building our expertise to support the oil and gas engineering program and ensure that we maintain this reputation for world-class research in this area. So to students and postdocs in the room or online, if you're looking for opportunities in the future, keep an eye on the University of Calgary and the Schulich School of Engineering. I hope to have some good opportunities for you coming up. Something that's been a little bit at times gotten lost in the excitement around the reactivation of the oil and gas program over the last few months has been the large number of other students that we train in other programs for the energy sector. So I just wanted to highlight that a little bit as well. Because of course all of that has been going on, even though the oil and gas program had to be temporarily paused. All of this other training has been going on at normal levels. So we currently have in our undergrad programs in chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, and energy engineering, the three disciplines that I would say most directly relate to the energy industry, we have about 1,200 students currently in those three programs. So that means several hundred graduates every year out of those programs, and many of those are going to pursue careers in the energy industry in various forms. And similarly, we have a very large professional master's program. About 600 students currently in programming the Master of Engineering in Chemical Engineering and Mechanical Engineering. And about a quarter of those, about 150 of those, are in the specializations in either petroleum engineering or in pipeline engineering. So again, lots of graduates coming out of our program, again, that will pursue careers in the energy industry. And as an aside, this last observation, the professional masters, is a trend that I know other universities around the world have seen as well, where demand for undergrad and local demand for undergraduate education in the oil and gas petroleum sector dropped off, but the international student demand for professional education like our MEng program remained strong. I've heard that from other institutions as well, and that's exactly what we saw. So while we struggled with the low demand from the local students for the undergrad education, the demand for the MEng in petroleum engineering remained very strong. And I think it's just testament to the international reputation of our faculty members and of our programs. We have some other ideas in development as well in terms of educational programs. We are looking at developing some potentially some certificate training programs. This would be course packages of maybe 4 courses or something like that, a little bit more bite size, hoping that it will be attractive to practicing engineers in the sector that maybe want to add some skills to their skill set to be part of hot topics in the energy industry, right? So be able to prepare to contribute to those. So ideas that you may have would be welcome. If you have ideas for where you see gaps, where you think training would be valuable in small packages like that, we'd be very happy to have those discussions. Ideas that we're currently playing with include hydrogen, CCUS, and the combination of AI and the energy industry to see what we can potentially develop and see what the market may be for those. We also have a really interesting initiative underway where our pipeline center, and this is international, our pipeline engineering center is close to finalizing an agreement to offer an MEng program in pipeline engineering in collaboration with a major international oil and gas producer. And I think, again, the fact that an entity like that engaged with us to develop that is again evidence of the expertise that we have and the reputation that our researchers and our programs have around the world. So I'm going to wrap up today with just a big thank you to Energy Simulations and acknowledge your support for, oops, I went a little further than I had intended there, and your support for the Energy Simulation Center for Geothermal Systems Research and Dr. Kanz's program. Very much appreciated. And also the support for both of our research chairs, Apostolos and John Chen. I look forward to continuing to partner with Energy Simulations and with the energy industry in general. We really appreciate your engagement on research collaborations, of course, engaging with us to help shape our priorities, both in research and in the academic programs. And for our academic programs, those of you in the industry hiring interns, hiring our students as interns, and hiring our graduates once they finish their programs, those last two are critical. This is where we need your help to build the demand, to ensure that there is sustained demand for programs like the oil and gas engineering program. Students, in my experience, look very closely at what the job market has to offer, and that is how they tend to make their choice of engineering disciplines. So industry has a really important role to fill there, to help us tell the story of all the opportunities that are out there in the sector for rewarding, lucrative, whatever adjective you want to use, careers that the students can get excited about and therefore pursue these programs. So thanks for the opportunity to speak today. Thank you, Duke. And I'm happy if there's any questions, or I'm happy to have discussion over lunch. And other than that, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
So are there questions? Yes, go to the mic.
Yes, Sebastian Geiger from TUDF. Thanks for a really nice overview.
Thanks.
A curiosity question. So you said when you launched your oil and gas program, there was a lot of support from the faculty. How were the views from the wider university? Because on our side of the pond, oil and gas, now we work on oil and gas and research, teach. There's a lot of scrutiny in pretty much all European universities these days. So was there good support from the entire university, or were there critical voices?
I mean, it is always possible to find individuals that have opinions that like what you're describing, but I would say is the discussion at our university was more along the number of students we expect, whether we see the demand, how we can validate the demand, and again, the input from the energy industry was invaluable in that regard of being able to demonstrate that there really is a place for these students to go when they graduate. And I would say that the questions at the university level were largely about that and how we would ensure that there is a steady stream of students coming into this program again, given the history that we had a few years back. And I think a lot of that discussion also revolved around the need to better communicate to students how transferable some of these skills are. If you know how to work in petroleum reservoirs, a lot of those skills might also apply to CCUS, to hydrogen, to extracting critical minerals from brine, and it goes on, right? And I think that is a story that we are going to try to do a much better job of telling our students in the future, because I think part of the problem is when a program gets perceived as narrow, then students tend to opt for something more broad like mechanical engineering because they see many different career paths.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, here's a question online. We heard about the bitumen beyond combustion from Alberta Innovates yesterday. Would the material science group or whichever group will be looking at potential of using bitumen in a different way, carbon fiber, whatever?
Yep.
Is that part of the
I think you're going outside my area of expertise. I might call a friend on this one.
Call a friend, okay.
I will quote you on that. So the answer is yes. But the projects that we're looking at now are linked closely to the projects that Alberta Innovates will fund. And if you remember my question from yesterday, the 80% of the barrel has not been addressed yet. And this is something that we need to do. We are reactive, not proactive. It's unfortunate, but that's what we are. If there is funding available, we will apply. If there is no funding available, we will apply for something else, right? So keeping that in mind, yes, the people, almost all of the people that you saw in these, snapshots have a project here, a project there that tries to address some of these things.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, well, I guess if not, on a personal note, Anders, I'm thrilled that the oil and gas program is coming back. I have 3 daughters that went through the program, and I know how strong it is, and the contributions that they're making, all working in Calgary for oil and gas companies, is outstanding. So I'm personally glad that you're bringing it back.
And I'm equally thrilled and happy to be able to bring it back. So really looking forward to seeing the demand in the future and working with all of you to maintain that demand and tell the story to the students about the opportunities.
Thank you so much for sharing our energy journey.